The story of Janos, part 2. From now on, I'm buying a brand new car. Brand new. Now, for any of this to make sense, let's go back to the beginning. If you're new to the channel, 3 months ago, I bought a TCR to celebrate 100,000 subscribers, but along the way, I ran into some trouble. And this video explains why I ended up sending this car back after 19 days. So, without wasting any of your time, welcome to the story of the TCR. So then, when the channel was approaching 100,000 subscribers, I started looking around for cars. For those of you who remember, that was around the time I was always asking for a friend, which of these cars would you buy? I was open to an S3, to an M135i, to a GTi, to an i30N, and a lot of the times GTi always came out on top, but in the comments, there were a lot of people who were fighting for the i30N. In fact, the i30N was also at the top of my list. You see, months before I bought the TCR or the i30N, I had been repeatedly saying on different radio interviews that I want to buy a Hyundai i30N. I like this question because I'm actually looking for a performance hatchback myself.
Okay.
And one of the cars you mentioned is a car I actually have my eye on. So brand new, it's around 850, but you can get them from around 600. Okay. So I think to rather just get an i30N, it's newer, it's automatic, and it pops. That car pops.
Really?
It just pops, just pop. Like, it just pops. No, I love that car. So yeah, between the two, definitely that one, because I'm also considering it myself. Yeah. 2 weeks after that interview, I decided to go have a look at the TCR. Nah, it won my heart. Now, growing up, I had always loved the GTi, so when I saw the TCR, I was like, nah, let's leave the i30N. I'm getting a TCR. To be honest, on that day, I was not planning to buy a TCR. I just went to have a look at it. Took it for a test drive, and I liked it. Now, during the test drive, I picked up a couple of panels that were rattling. Yo, those rattles were bad. So as you can see, I was trying to touch to feel, is something loose? Where's the rattle coming from? I wasn't sure. I didn't know. I was just like, hey, what's happening? So I told the salesman, I want this car, but if I'm going to buy it, I would need him to find out where the rattle is coming from and sort it out for me. And he said, yeah, he'll take care of it. The next time I come back, everything will be sorted. So on that first day, I barely looked at the car. One thing I did notice was that the exhaust tips were changed. I asked them, is this car stock? They said it was stock. And I said, okay, cool. But if it's not stock, I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to have it checked. I like it's stock. I like, all right, cool, sharp. Tested out the exhaust. I loved it. It had these subtle pops like, it was nice. I was happy. So the next time I went there in a hurry. Didn't even check the car. I submitted my documents. The reason why I was in a hurry is because I was going to Kruger National Park. So around that time, me and PA were going to Mpumalanga to film the Range Rover Sport in Kruger National Park. Yeah, as you know, we ended up just seeing crocodiles. Anyway, long story short, I submitted the documents, didn't check the car, we left, went to Kruger National Park. When I got back, they let me know that everything was good, everything was approved, and all I had to do was collect the car. But I told them I actually can't collect the car yet because at the time I had to go to Mozambique to launch the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado. So that's what I did. I went to Mozambique. When I got back, I went to fetch the car. You've seen the collection video, and as I was driving out of the dealership, I noticed that rattle from the test drive was still there. So I immediately texted him and said, yo man, the rattle is still there. He's like, nah, don't worry. You can take it to VW, they'll sort it out. As I'm listening to the rattle, a caution light suddenly comes on. I'm like, yeah, man. At that moment, I was thinking, oh no. Oh no, I hope I didn't make a mistake here. Now, if you watch the collection video, there's a part where the policeman stopped me and asked me if I have advanced driving and all that. If you look at the dashboard, you'll notice that caution light was on. This was just after I'd collected the car. So I drove to Senton Mall. I texted him and let him know, like, hey, there's a caution light on. But he assured me there's nothing to worry about because they'd given me a maintenance plan. So I can take the car to VW. They'll sort everything out for free. So I was chilled, like, anyway, it's fine. It's a used car. VW will sort out any issues we have. To be honest, I was just excited to finally be a GTi owner. I even went to Checkers to get some equipment to wash my new car. Now, while I was washing the car, That's when I noticed that the paint had some inconsistencies, especially around the bumper, but more on that later. While waiting for my appointment with VW, I drove the car around for a few days and also had the opportunity to film the 100,000 subscriber special. Oh, here's a quick story. On the day of filming the 100,000 subscriber special, just before I came here, I first went to visit Mumbo Repairs. You see, with all the random things that were popping up with this TCR, I had a feeling I might end up becoming a future client of his. Now, as I've mentioned, the TCR already had a maintenance plan and I had already booked it for a checkup at VW. So I wasn't here because of the car. I'd actually just come by to say hi and introduce myself. Hey guys, you must make sure you come through by Mumbo here.
If you want good times with your GTi.
By the way, that caution light was intermittent. Sometimes it would go on and sometimes it would go off. Now here I am with the GTi specialist himself. That light runs away, disappears. I'm there telling him, yo, there was this light. It's not there now, it's not there. But anyway, we took the car for a quick drive around the block. Yeah.
Because you see the GTi, normal GTi, there's not that much difference when you put it in sport. It's only the Golf 7R. But this one, definitely big difference.
I just got it for that. I wanted a Golf 8, but it was so quiet, man.
No, the Golf 8.
It was so quiet.
I even said on my video when I was repairing a Golf 7, the Golf 8, I'm like, hey, you know what? The Golf 7.5 and the Golf 7R, I think it's got more pull and it's much more nicer to drive.
The TCR is fun, guys. Let me not lie to you. It's a great car. VW nailed it. Anyway, after talking about GTIs and driving around, I had to leave from Mumbo and go film the intro of the 100,000 subscriber special. Funny story, after I left Mumbo, guess what? That light came back. It's still the best sounding GTI ever. But with all those nice sounds, this specific TCR had a problem. Just before we talk about those problems, let's talk about the price. You see, the TCR and the M140i have one thing in common. Because of how popular they are, dealers basically charge whatever they want for them. These cars are still going for the same price they launched at. This TCR launched in 2020 at around 670,000 Rand. Oh, hey Audi, what's happening? To this day, you'll buy a 2020 model for around the same price because we, as a country, said this car has street cred and the dealerships were listening. And I'm not even exaggerating. Here's a TCR with over 100,000 kilometers in mileage, going for 650. Now, I've been watching this one for a few months just as a case study to see what will happen. At the moment, it has now dropped by 75,000 to this current price. And I was just thinking, so if someone bought it back then, they would have just spent an extra 75,000 because it's a TCR. But anyway, I digress. My point is, if you're going to buy a TCR, just make sure you plan to keep it, because if you try to sell it, you'll not sell it for 650. Book value will not be on your side because it will say this car is 4 years old, this car has done this many kilometers and it is worth this much. With that said, I still wanted a TCR, I wanted to keep it, I wanted to make it the channel car. So I made the mistake of posting this other grey one I wanted. After I posted it, someone went and bought it. So I resorted to my second option, the one I ended up getting. For the purposes of this video, let's call this car Sfiso, because that's all it was, a wish. Now for months I would go on Auto Trader, on cars.co.za, and I would check out this TCR. Sfiso was there for months, no one was buying it. I was wondering what's wrong with this TCR. But in my excitement to get a car for the 100,000 special, I decided to ignore all those red flags and I went and I bought it. You see, on paper and by TCR standards, it was the best priced TCR I could find. For 650,000, it had the lowest mileage at 28,000 kilometers. It had a maintenance plan. It was a 2021 model, while most other TCRs are 2020 models. So comparing it to other TCRs, this looked like a good deal. So in terms of my cost of ownership, the car was 650,000. With regard to my monthly installment, well, I didn't keep the car long enough to pay the monthly installment. And in terms of the insurance, there's a broker who called me, hey, He charged me around 3,500. I told him, bruh, it's fine. So I used Hippo, and because of Hippo I was able to compare 11 different insurance codes, and my insurance premium came to around 2,200 Rand, which was really good for a GTi. I was expecting to pay more, to be honest. So yeah, if you'd like to get a quote for your own car, be sure to check out Hippo. I'll leave a link in the description and pin a comment in the comments below. By the way, if you still haven't liked this video, please like. If you still have not yet subscribed, please subscribe. Support local YouTube, guys. It's the right thing to do. We are still on the road to 150,000 subs, so please share this video on your WhatsApp status, on your Twitter, on your Instagram. Let them know that Mr. How Much bought a TCR, and after buying that TCR, even the key wasn't working properly. The battery was finished. I couldn't lock this car. I had to remove this thing. I lost 5,000 aura points because of this TCR. I was there in public looking like a thief. They thought I was stealing fee. So this was not it. This was embarrassing, guys, I'm telling you. But anyway, the key situation was an easy fix. I went to Clicks, I bought a battery, and everything was fine. But what was really wrong with the TCR? That's what you came to find out. Let me tell you. So after dropping the car off at the dealership, I couldn't take videos, so I'm just gonna play random clips while I explain. This whole time, I wasn't stressed because I had the maintenance plan. So I went on to explain to the technician that even when the car is on park, the car thinks it's not on park, it thinks it's on drive. Therefore, that message keeps coming up every now and then. I also told them about the rattle. I also told them about the front LED When you look at it, you'd notice that parts of it were cracked or shattered by something. When turned on, it was a bit dimmer than the other light, so I asked them to check it for me. So I went home, and during the day, they just called like, yo, you have chips on your windscreen, would you like them to be fixed? I'm like, sure, sharp. Oh, the alignment is off, would you like us to fix the alignment? You know, all that typical dealership stuff for them to make extra money. They hadn't said anything about the things I had reported. Sharp, in the evening I get there. When I arrive, they say, come here. I will go to the back. Like, what's wrong? This guy takes me all around the car. He wasn't even being nice. He was basically attacking me for buying this TCR. He shows me, you see here, this bumper resprayed. See here in the front, resprayed. You see this panel here, he knocks on it. You see that sound? It shows that it's been rebuilt or something. I tell him, yo, bro, chill. I got this car just over a week ago. Okay, relax. He opened the bonnet, he showed me the light, and then he showed me that it had been opened. Hence, it was a bit cracked inside and it was fading. Everything he told me was very true, but ew, that guy was so rude. It's like I had offended him, or he was just angry I gave him work. I don't know. So anyway, I asked him about the rattle. He said, yeah, you could hear that rattle, but he is not sure where it's coming from. He would need more time to sit down with the car, strip it, and find out where it's coming from. And then I asked him, okay, did you manage to find out the source of the error message? Because I could see it was still there on the screen. And he told me, yeah, the reason why that message is there is because the gear selector is damaged. It was broken. So because it was cracked, the maintenance plan wouldn't cover it. So if he had to fix it, I would have to pay for it. So yeah, they gave me back my car. At least it had been washed. I paid for alignment, and that was it. So I called the dealership where I bought the car. I told them, but your car has been resprayed. It has this kind of damage. They're like, nah, it can't be. So they made a booking for me at another VW dealership. They even offered to take the car there for me. I told them, no, it's okay. I'll drive it there myself. So I got up early in the morning and I was ready to take the car to VW in Bryanston. At this point, reality was setting in. Even my enthusiasm was gone. I just realized that, you know what? I think I might have bought a whole lemon tree here, because the random things that were coming up with this car, I was thinking, was this car in an accident? And then rebuilt. I thought about how the battery and the key was finished. I opened the engine, I looked at the battery and the engine, I'm like, nah man, maybe that's why this battery was changed. I thought about how low the mileage was, and in my mind I concluded, this car was either in some kind of accident, it parked for a while, they stitched it back together, and they sold it. And even as I was driving it, the rattles were getting worse. Everything was just rattling in that car. I was like, nah, this is not it. Anyway, got to VW in Bryanston, gave them the car, and I went to watch a movie. So while watching the movie, I was still hoping everything would work out and everything would be fine, and that all my theories were wrong. So after the movie, I went back to the dealership and they took me to the back. I knew, no, it's chai. They told me, bruh, this car, they suspect, probably had some kind of front impact or impact of some kind. So the whole front bumper was resprayed. The air conditioning condenser was damaged. The body on the side also looks suspicious. The rear bumper was resprayed. But what really broke me was the use of glue. Super glue, guys. There was actually a reflector under the door that was stuck by glue. So it fell out and they told me they are not allowed to stick things back with glue. So they just handed it to me. At that point, I was defeated. I was like, this is not it. There was a loose filter in there. Yo, it was a lot, guys. It was a lot. They told me that whole dashboard looks like it had been moved and then put back. I was like, Anyway, I asked, what about that error message thing? They're like, yeah, that gear selector, they've never seen one broken like that before. Like, it's they don't know how that could have happened. In my mind, I'm thinking, I know exactly how it probably happened. The rattle, they told me they'll need about a week or two to book the car in and strip it and see where it's coming from. There was also a problem with the left door at the back. It was making sounds. They tried to respray it for me. I just lost interest at that point. I was angry. So I asked them, how much is this to fix? So the quotation was around 70,000 Rand going up for the basic stuff. That was to replace the air conditioning condenser. It was around 16 to 20,000. And then the gear selector thing was also another 20,000. The light was also another 20,000 without bulbs. Hey, it was a lot, guys. It was a lot. So I told them there's no way I can spend 650,000 on a car that is broken like this. This is not a project car. This is not a high mileage series. 650,000, no ways. So I got in the car, I drove straight back to the dealership. So while I was on the way to the dealership, VW called them, gave them an update on everything that had happened, told them how much it would cost to fix the car, and told them that I was on the way. So they were expecting me. So this part of me at the dealership brings us to where this video started. So this was the moment of truth. Was I going to give up on my dream car because it was probably in an accident and rebuilt? Was I going to take it back because it was resprayed and rattled a lot? The answer is yes. 650k is a lot, guys. Now, on a side note, I commend the dealership I got this car from because during the whole time their communication was on point. They did their best to help me. And even when I went back to tell them, alright guys, you heard from VW yourselves, you know the story. Them being a proper reputable dealership, were very professional. They didn't fight me or come up with stories, nothing. So when I got there, they offered to pay for all the repairs on the TCR. They were willing to pay the 70,000+ rent to the dealership. But my only concern was, I don't know what happened to the car. So even if they fix these current problems, what if I'm on a road trip, the gearbox fails, then what? So because I wasn't aware of the car's history, I didn't want to risk it. So I told them to drop another 70k on this car for me is not worth it. Would they be willing to rather find me another car? So they said, yeah, no, that's cool. So at the moment, they didn't have a car I was personally interested in at their dealership. So they tried sourcing other cars for me, but unfortunately, we couldn't really agree on a price. So they eventually agreed to refund me all my money, my deposit, and that was the end of that. So after we spoke, I took the Vaseline from the car, handed them the keys, and I said farewell to Sfiso, and that was that. That is the story of the TCR.